It's a beautiful day for baseball. And live from Camelback Ranch in Glendale, Arizona, Sportsnet LA presents the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Cleveland Indians on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. Hi again, everybody. Charlie Steiner and Rick Monday. The Dodgers 5-2-4. They played their fourth tie last night. Brendan McCarthy was very solid. Brett Anderson, the other Dodger newcomer to the rotation, gets to start today.
It'd be nice to see Anderson on the heels of McCarthy last night. Anderson injured last year, not only with a thumb that was broken, but also lower back. But he's a guy kind of interesting. He throws a good curveball, has a very good pickoff if anybody gets on first base. And the Dodgers, quite frankly, have been very pleased with the way their pitchers have performed to this point.
Yasiel Puig, last-minute scratch today. He's under the weather, out of the lineup. So we'll get to see both Dodger catchers in the lineup today.
And the catchers are a big story because if you look at last year combined, the lowest average of any catching corps in baseball, 188. A.J. Ellis, well, he's not only hit the ball well in the spring, his legs are healthy. 2 different times had leg injuries. Yasmani Grandal, as you made mention, he's going to serve as the designated hitter. This time he shows the switch hitter, has the power, goes the opposite way, hoping obviously you get better offense behind the plate.
So Brett Anderson gets the start for the Dodgers this afternoon. Cleveland counters with Bruce Chen. Lineups coming up next. Boy, is it ever. Hi again, everybody. Charlie Steiner and Rick Monday. We are at Camelback Ranch in Glendale as the Dodgers get ready to play their 12th game of the spring. 3 weeks from Monday, they open for real at Dodger Stadium against the San Diego Padres. Dodgers begin play today at 5-2-4 this spring. They played to their fourth tie last night. Brandon McCarthy was very good. The pitching, by and large, was very good. And, well, if there has been one constant through this first week and a half of the spring training season, the Dodgers have been fundamentally sound.
Yeah, we were talking about pace of game of baseball around both leagues, but the pace of good baseball by the Dodgers has really been remarkable to this particular point. And it's the little things that turn into very big things. Don Mattingly, his ball club, and the coaching staff, really from day one. So, look, guys, this is the way we're going to approach it. So fundamentally sound, and quite frankly, the young crop of players, and we'll see some of them here this afternoon, I think from an overall standpoint, maybe the most fundamentally sound of what we have seen in some time. Sprinkled in, obviously, with the veterans. But the message was delivered very early, and quite frankly, this is a ball club that has delivered exactly what was asked of them. Look, let's play hard, let's play collectively. And they have hit cutoff men. We've not seen a rundown play. That's about the only area so far. Some of the pickoffs are still kind of here and there, but a big afternoon and a great day, quite frankly, for the players to work.
Brett Anderson getting ready to make his second start. He can't wait to get out of the dugout, and here he comes leading the Dodgers onto the field. Just before we play this afternoon, Dodgers have begun to prune the garden a little bit. Chris Anderson, Julio Urias, Josh Raven, and Ryan Buckner, the left-handed reliever. They have been reassigned to minor league camp. Of course, the 25-man roster is what they're all focusing toward come opening day on the 6th of April. Cleveland Indians managed by Terry Francona. And here's the lineup Francona has put together today. Jose Ramirez, solid shortstop, will be leading off. Jason Kipnis at second base. Ryan Rayburn, one-time Tiger, in right. Tyler Holt in center field, one-time Dodger. Jerry Sands having a good spring. He's 7 for 15, playing at first base. To be followed by Roberto Perez, the catcher, who's 5 for 8. Eric Gonzalez, not so good at second base, 1 for 16. Destin Hood in left field, and Giovanni Urshela is the catcher, and the Indians are very high on him as we take a look at Brett Anderson, who of course had a back issue last year, a broken bone in his hand. He has had an assortment of freak issues over the course of his career, but the Dodgers believe there's an enormous upside to him with an ERA of 291 in limited time, but an ERA of 291 in Colorado is really quite something.
It's very good. He also had some lower back issues and stiffness. He had a little procedure was done on his back. So he has come in fit and sound, and interesting again on how he controls the game if runners do get on, as a very good pickoff move.
So it'll be Ramirez and Kipnis and Rayburn hitting for the Indians as we get underway. 83 degrees, a spotless blue sky. Dodgers and Reds sold out here at Glendale last night, and again this afternoon. Sell out and a call strike to Ramirez. It is 0-1. Brett Anderson, a fast worker under the best of circumstances. Little bloop foul down the right field line. Actually, it drops in for a base hit. And now, Izzy might have had Ramirez leaning toward second base and could have thrown back toward first. Instead, it drops in for a base hit, and we're underway.
Not hit hard. Izzy also found himself in that little area. If you throw behind the runner with the way that Ramirez was rounding the bag, Ramirez may have just continued on to second base.
So Izzy in right field today. Puig, a last-minute scratch. He's under the weather. There's a bit of a flu bug going around here in Arizona, and Carrasco, who was supposed to start for the Indians today, has been downed, and as a result, Bruce Chen will be making the start instead. Here's Jason Kipnis. Kipnis last year 240, 6 home runs, 41 runs batted in. Anderson set at the belt, stands on the third base side of the rubber and delivers inside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Brett Anderson's a big fella. 6'3", 240 pounds. Signed a 1-year deal in the offseason. And again, if he can stay healthy, the Dodgers think they have struck gold. Kipnis bunts it in front of the plate. And out from behind the plate, A.J. Ellis quickly is able to throw out. Kipnis, the sacrifice, goes 2-3.
Well, it's so important also, and not a bad bunt. Going more for the base hit bunt than a sacrifice. A.J. Ellis gets out in a hurry. And making sure they got his foot off the bag at time was Scott Van Slyke starting over at first base.
Big difference for A.J. Ellis between this spring and last. He came in with a gimpy knee last year and thought he might be able to play through it. He had the arthroscopic surgery early, and then shortly after returning from the arthroscopic surgery, he twisted his ankle on Drew Butera's mask following the no-hitter in Philadelphia by Josh Beckett. Accidentally stepped on the mask, sprained his ankle. And so Ellis really didn't have firm legs between or beneath him until about September.
I asked AJ this morning in the hallway just outside the Dodgers locker room. I said, "Hey, how you feeling, big guy?" And he said, "I feel great." I said, "No, really, I know this. How do you feel?" He goes, "Mo," he says, "I'm healthy. I like the challenge." He goes, "I feel tremendous right now." Something he could not say last year.
Ryan Rayburn, the batter, who swings and misses, and quickly Anderson is ahead, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Now, Anderson's going to change eye levels, and he will also change speeds. He has an excellent changeup, and that's exactly what we saw there.
Rayburn is 5 for 15 this spring, just underway. Ramirez is at second base. He blooped a single to right. He was sacrificed to second by Kipnis. Now the 1-2 from Anderson. Missing just outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Anderson will also throw the 2-seam and the 4-seam fastball, so he will sink it occasionally and try and get that ground ball. Just missed away there. Has the slider. Very good curveball.
Rayburn swings and fouls it back to the screen. Count holds it 2-2.
And Brett Anderson is in that kind of a magical range as far as the age. He's 27 years of age. Now, what's the year that you begin to look at it? Is it 25 that you're kind of in that golden area? 25, 26? Well, we talked about A.J. Ellis being healthy in the same way with the left-hander Brett Anderson.
Here's the 2-2. Just inside and low. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Ryan Rayburn out of Tampa, Florida. This is his 9th big league season. Came up with the Tigers. First cup of coffee in 2004. And this is his 3rd season in Cleveland. A career .253 hitter.
Had an older brother that played at the minor league level.
On 3-2, Rayburn takes high and outside, ball 4. So the Indians now with 1st and 2nd and 1 man out, and Tyler Holt is coming up.
Anderson making sure now exactly who is going to be on the cover, and it's going to be Howie Kendrick, the second baseman. He'll be closer to the bag. So if you're trying to get the ground ball, trying to get the double play, get out of the inning, is this the time that you see that 2-seam fastball maybe going away from Holt? You're going to throw it inside, see it, and then go away?
Tyler Holt is 5 for 15 this spring. Right-handed hitter. Here's the pitch to him. A swing and a chopper in the hole. It's short. And the throw to second on to first. Not going to be in time. Jimmy Rollins did a great job going into the hole on a high chopper. He quickly spun and threw, and Kendrick had no chance to get Holt at first. That's a second out of the inning. The Indians have 1st and 3rd, 2 out, and Jerry Sands is coming up.
Charlie, it's the little things when you look at the good players. And for Jimmy Rollins going in the hole to backhand the ball, the throw, and he had to throw across his body behind him. The throw that he gave Howie Kendrick was perfect, right at the belt, middle of the body. So these two combinations of guys have had to learn one another. They are still doing on a daily basis. But that was just a terrific play the way it unfolded.
Jerry Sands with runners at 1st and 3rd. Lofts one foul off to the right and out of play. Pretty well hit. And it's no balls and a strike. Sands is 7 for 15. I was thinking, as you were saying a couple of minutes ago, as Anderson was looking at the second baseman and the shortstop, who was going to receive the throw if and when ball came back to him. One of the things I don't think we will see this year, communication issues between Rollins and Kendrick. They're both just outstanding baseball players, knowing the nuances of who to go to and where and when.
And I think that they play a more heady game, knowing where to position themselves overall. They have a much bigger Rolodex.
0-2, Sands strikes out swinging. Anderson pulled the string and the inning is over. No runs, 1 hit, 1 walk, 2 left, no scores. We go to the bottom of the first. Rollins, Crawford, and Grandal coming up. today, reassigning Chris Anderson, Julio Urias, Josh Raven, and Ryan Buckner, but they've got a lot of work to do in pruning out the 25-man roster between now and opening day. Here's the lineup that Don Mattingly's put together for this Saturday afternoon. It'll be Rollins and Crawford. Yasmani Grandal is the designated hitter. Puig was supposed to bat third at DH, but he was under the weather and sent home. Kendrick in the cleanup spot. Scott Van Slyke at first base hitting fifth. Justin Turner at third base hitting sixth. Uribe the day off. A.J. Ellis behind the plate. Jock Peterson in center. Chris Heisey in right field. And batting ninth as 37-year-old Bruce Chen delivers the first pitch. Signed a minor league contract in the offseason. Delivers a strike and it's 0-1. Chen is now 37 years of age, and he came up with the Atlanta Braves in 1998. Here's the pitch from the lefty. A fly ball, routine right field. Underneath it is Ryan Rayburn, drifting a couple of steps to his left, makes the catch. First out of the first inning. Rollins flies to right.
Yeah, for Chen, the veteran, he grew up in Panama. His grandparents are Chinese. Speaks fluent Spanish and can have conversations in the Chinese language. Grew up really with his grandmother more than everybody else. Fly ball pitcher, four-seam fastball right over the top. And for Bruce Chen, there's a chance there's a couple of spots open in this Cleveland Indians starting rotation, quite frankly.
Now Carl Crawford is the hitter. He swings and fouls it back. It's 0-1. Crawford 3 for 13 so far this spring. You know, with all the attention paid to Jock Peterson, Yasiel Puig, Andre Ethier, what's going on in the outfield? Lost, at least in the news coverage, is Carl Crawford. Crawford had a solid year last year, and he flies it into short left field, sprinting over into foul territory. A nice backhanded play by the shortstop, Jose Ramirez. Destin Hood in left couldn't reach it, and Ramirez, who the Indians are very high on defensively, makes a terrific play.
Long run and looking up into bright sky. Well, there is way out in left center field. I mean, out of 8-10 miles, there's two little lonely clouds. They're tiny clouds. Other than that, boy, it is just a bright, sunshiny sky here in Glendale.
83 degrees, sold out house, and Yasmani Grandal, the switch hitting catcher, the DH today, is 4 for 17. One home run. It was a 3-run shot. Here's the 1-0. Grandal takes a strike on the inside corner, and it's 1-1.
The catching situation with the Dodgers collectively last year hit just $188. That was the lowest collective average of any catching core in Major League Baseball.
Grandal on 1-1, swings and misses as Chen pulls the string. Grandal way out in front, 1-2.
Grandal, and one of the observations that I've made, and I've talked to a lot of people and been told as well, he's got more power from the left side. Although he says, look, now my knee is healthy. I've got power from the right side as well.
Here comes the 1-2, high and away, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
But the average and the production out of the catching core not only has to improve, I think overall we're going to look at a situation it will improve. A.J. Ellis cannot be any more banged up than he was last year.
Now the 2-2 to Grandal. Swinging a fly ball right field. And drifting over toward the line a bit is Rayburn. And Grandal flies to right. In a 1-2-3 inning for Chen. No score as we go to the second. We go to the second inning. Tommy Lasorda is present and accounted for in the Dodger uniform down the third base dugout. We begin the second inning, and Anderson delivers to Roberto Perez. A call strike, 0-1. Perez catching this afternoon for Terry Francona.
Perez split almost equal time, AAA and the big leagues.
Ground ball, right side. Van Slyke, backhanded stab. Sprints to the bag. He was about 30 feet from first base when he made the backhanded play. Had to sprint over. Perez retired. 1 out, nobody on.
First baseman, you get the ball and then size up exactly where your pitcher is. And Van Slyke decided that he could win the foot race easier than his pitcher could come over, get the ball, and touch the bag himself.
So 1 out, nobody on. Eric Gonzalez stepping in. Van Slyke, a valuable bench piece for the Dodgers. Play first base, either one of the corner outfield spots, and is a dangerous hombre as a pinch hitter. Gonzalez, right-handed batter, takes a strike quickly. Anderson is ahead, 0-2. Gonzalez is 1 for 16. And he strikes out on 3 pitches. Ball is dropped by A.J. Ellis. Picks it up, throws to first to complete the strikeout. Anderson second, 2 out and nobody on.
Yeah, Anderson still does not have the curveball dialed in as far as the location itself. But just watch the break on this one for those that are watching on the simulcast on Sportsnet LA. Breaking ball, just get it down. Has confidence in his catcher. Good block on the ball by A.J. Ellis.
2 out, nobody on. Destin Hood is the batter. Right-handed hitting left fielder who is 5 for 13 this spring. Takes a ball low, 1 ball and no strikes. No score. Second inning, 2 out, nobody on. Ground ball to third. In and near the bag. Turner picks it up, throws across his body, and retires Hood. A very nice play by Justin Turner, who is having an outstanding spring on both sides of the ball. 5 in a row. It's sold out Camelback Ranch in Glendale. We go to the bottom half of the second inning. And it'll be Howie Kendrick leading it off. And Bruce Chinn's first pitch is a call strike. And it's 0-1. Kendrick, Van Slyke, and Turner will bat. No runs and a hit. Surrendered by Anderson to this point. 2 strikeouts and a walk. He's done well. Kendrick with a ground ball to short. Ramirez picks it up. Throws across the diamond. 1 out and nobody on. You know, no team has more Cy Young Award winners than the Dodgers. And this season we'll be celebrating with a Cy Young Pin Collection Series presented by 76. Pick up pin number 1 featuring Don Newcomb, big number 36. On Monday, April the 13th. For more information, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. Now Van Slyke steps in. 4 for 15. Takes a strike. 0-1. Adrian Gonzalez with the day off. Now Chen into the windup. The veteran lefty deals. There's a fly ball to left field. It is on its way. So long for now. Oh, what a shot by Scott Van Slyke. His first home run of the spring. And the Dodgers take a 1-0 lead.
Van Slyke, who had so much versatility. We're seeing him at first base today. He can play the outfield. Pinch hit. Little surprising speed on top of it, but he just gets a pitch to his liking, has the leg kick, pulls the hands through, and he goes around the bases. And that trip around the diamond is sponsored by Daniels Jewelers. And for every Dodger home run, Daniels Jewelers family donates to local children's charities. Over $500,000 over the last 4 seasons.
Justin Turner takes a ball up and away. 1 ball, no strikes.
Reminder, our good friends at Daniels Jewelers, making diamond dreams come true since 1948.
Turner with a fly ball to left center field. That one is well hit. And that one is gone. A home run. Oh, wait a minute. What is the call here?
Going to be a double. Ground rule double. Turner doubled in yesterday's game with a line drive. I talked to him on the pregame show. I said to him yesterday, wow, you're really hitting the ball hard. And he goes, oh, perfect. You're going to jinx me. Well, the jinx was off. He decided to come on the pregame show. That high leg kick gets a breaking ball from Chen that's up into the strike zone. And Holt came very close to making an incredible catch.
Bounced 1 hop over the wall, over the off the warning track. So it goes as a grounds rule double. And now A.J. Ellis is the batter, and he takes a ball inside and high. 1 ball, no strikes. Ellis is 3 for 10.
A.J. Ellis says it was painful to reflect back upon last year. Painful not just from the injuries, but painful with the bat.
Pops it into short right field. Eric Gonzalez retreats and makes the catch, and there's 2 out.
It's incredible, though, if you're looking at A.J. Ellis, not only was he banged up the knee and the ankle on top of it, you're taking bumps and bruises, and then you're playing in one of the most difficult positions. You take a beating anyway behind the plate. A.J. never complained about it because he put team in front of either irritation or discomfort with his injuries.
And now here's Jock Peterson. And when the Dodgers acquired Yasmani Grandal in the offseason, you didn't hear boo out of A.J. Ellis. He said he just wants to win. And as of Saturday, March the 14th, likelihood is Grandal will probably play somewhere between 90 and 100 games. And Ellis the others, again, all things being equal and injuries holding what are held down to a reasonable sum. Now Peterson takes outside, 2 balls and no strikes.
The pitch that Peterson just took, and that was a breaking ball, and I mentioned against left-handers in particular, has a tendency to get the weight back on his heels a little bit. Narrow stance, but the way he tracked that last pitch was good.
Here's a 2-0. Takes high and away, 3-0.
That narrow stance, he has a tendency to get a little bit long in the stride, which will slow down the bat speed, but once he learns how to get back, stay back on it, the speed of the bat through the hitting zone is going to improve. But he has tracked the ball very well in the first 3 pitches against Chen.
And he takes a strike, 3-1. So when you say he tracks the pitch well, for those who are listening or watching on television, what is he doing and why do you point it out?
In other words, you look like he's going to pull the trigger on the swing at any particular moment. The last swing right there was a breaking ball, and that was the long stride, long swing, trying to catch up to it. So he has a tendency a little anxious. So that 3-1 pitch, a little bit too long in the swing out in front. You can see how long that swing was on the television. His right foot went all the way to the front line. designating the closest point to the left-handed batter's box towards the pitcher.
On 3-2, he takes high and away, ball 4.
And that last stride was shorter than the swing that he had the previous pitch. But for any young player and for left-handers trying to stay in against the left-handed pitchers, so tracks it well, and it's a learning process for. There's the pitch that he took. Not nearly as long of a stride as the pitch before, and the 3-1 that a big long swing and a miss.
Jock Peterson is aboard.
Charlie, talking about the swing, a lot of golfers might understand this. If you're getting the weight way forward on your drives instead of staying back behind the ball, then in essence that's what hitters are trying to do.
Now Chris Heisey takes low and outside, 1 ball, no strikes. Heisey still looking for his first hit of the spring. Turner is at second. Peterson is at first. Van Slyke a 1-out home run here in the second. Dodgers lead 1-0. Chen deals and a ground ball to third. Easy play for Urshela. Force out at second. That ends the inning. 1 run, 2 hits, 2 left, and we'll go to the third. Dodgers with a leg up, 1-0. Home run of the spring, a towering shot over the Dodger bullpen to left has given the Dodgers and Brett Anderson a 1-0 lead as we go to the third. And Giovanni Urshela is the batter. First time we have seen him, and he takes a ball inside and low. 1 ball, no strikes.
Here's one of the big prospects that they have for the Cleveland Indians. He was the Lou Boudreau Organizational Position Player of the Year last year. Combined AA and AAA, hit .280, had 18 home runs, knocked in 84. And the best part of his game is the defense.
Here's the 1-1, swinging a ground ball to third. Justin Turner picks it up, gliding to his left, throws across the diamond, 1 out and nobody out. Well, we just received some sad news. One of the great players in the 40s and 50s, Al Rosen, played all 10 years of his big league career with the Cleveland Indians, passed away at the age of 91. He was a 4-time All-Star, part of that 48 World Series championship team, MVP in 53, twice the American League home run champion, and twice the RBI champion. He was 91. And he was a great front office man as well after he finished playing. Now Jose Ramirez is the batter, takes inside and low, 2 balls and a strike.
Primarily with the Giants in the front office, ran that club.
And with the Yankees in the early 80s, time when George Steinbrenner was at his, well, mercurial best. It was Al Rosen who was trying desperately to keep him in check. He was in the front office when the Dodgers and Yankees had at it in '81. Slow roller to short, and there will be no play. Jimmy Rollins tried to come in and barehanded behind the mound. Would have no chance as Jose Ramirez beats out an infield hit. Al Rosen was 91. He was the last Cleveland Indian MVP winner in 1953. So Michael Brantley, who got a lot of votes last year for the MVP title, came up short. Brantley not playing today. There are a lot of Indians regulars who are having this Saturday afternoon off. Ground ball, hard hit to second base. Backhanded stab by Kendrick. Throws to Rollins, who throws to Van Slyke. At a neatly turned 4-6-3 double play. Kendrick to Rollins to Van Slyke. That ends the inning. No runs, one hit, and nobody left after 2.5. Dodgers 1-0. It'll be the top of the order for the Dodgers as we head to the bottom of the third, and they've got a 1-0 lead. Brett Anderson, in his first 3 innings in his second start, has given up no runs, 2 hits. He has struck out 2. He's walked 1, 33 pitches, 22 for strikes in 3 innings of work. Bruce Chen delivers low and inside. 1 ball, no strikes to Jimmy Rollins, who flied to right in his first at-bat. Crawford on deck, Grandal to follow. Chen misses inside, and it's 2-0. Ryan Rollinger takes over at third base for the Indians. Chen delivers a strike, and it's 2-1. Chen, like Anderson, a fast worker, and so pace of play has not been an issue by any stretch. There's a call strike. 2-2. Last night's game, 2 hours and 18 minutes. A throwback to the old days. On 2-2, Chen to Rollins. Lines one into center field. It drops in for a base hit. Clean single to center. Jimmy Rollins leading off in the bottom of the third.
Rollins made it look very easy. That was an off-speed pitch that Rollins just stayed back on. Got a double clutch with that front left foot. Rollins is, and we talked about it, but he's a thinking type of a player. There's a reason he's had just a terrific career to this point. He has helped himself by thinking his way through it.
And now Carl Crawford fouled out in his first at bat. Carl is 3 for 14. And Rollins back standing up, a throw over from Bruce Chen. So Rollins leads from first. Jimmy still thinks he can steal himself 25 bases or more. Chen misses outside and low. And it's 1 ball and no strikes to Carl Crawford. Last year, Rollins stole 28. In his 16th big league season. Of course, his first with the Dodgers came up with the Phillies in 2000. Career .267 hitter, although he hit but .243 last year. Crawford, on the other hand, had an outstanding season last year. Essentially flying under the radar, hit .300, and down the stretch, Crawford was a very hot hitter. Carl Crawford, 4-time All-Star, won a Gold Glove in 2010, and also the Silver Slugger that year. Rollins off and running, a slow chopper to second base. No play for Jimmy. Crawford is thrown out by Eric Gonzalez, and Rollins goes to second with 1 out.
Jimmy Rollins is not a spring chicken at this particular point in his career, but gets a very good jump. So far, Crawford today has been jumping the ball a little bit. 0 for 2 to show for it.
Fouled out, bounced out, and Yasmani Grandal steps in. Grandal, switch hitter, flied to right in his first at bat. Dodgers with a 1-0 lead. 1 out, runner at second in the bottom of the third. There's a hard line drive, base hit into left field. Rollins will hold at third. So the Dodgers have first and third, 1 out. That one hit right on the screws by Yasmani Grandal.
Well, he's talking about that he has better power from the right side than maybe a lot of people have given him credit for, and you're going to have power. That is just a marvelous swing. Of course, when you're able to hit with 2 strong legs and they're healthy, it's going to give you a much better foundation. It's going to be interesting, Charlie, with the catching core, with both Grandal healthy, A.J. Ellis healthy.
And Howie Kendrick now stepping in. Bounced to short in his first at bat. First and third, 1 out, bottom of the third. Dodgers a 1-0 lead. 4 hits already for the Dodgers. Kendrick swings and misses. That is 0-1. Howie is 4 for 15 this spring. Kendrick in his 10th big league season. Of course, all of his previous years down in Anaheim. Moving to the big city with a .292 career average. Ball inside and low. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Yeah, well, Chen's trying to come inside both times, and look at the defense if Kinder's checking it. There is a huge amount of territory that's open between the first baseman and second baseman. First and third, Grandal being held at first base, but second baseman's close up the bag to double play depth.
The 1-1, Kendrick, little number back to the box, and it stops on a dime about halfway between the mound and the first base line, and so the catcher Perez has to come out, make the throw, nobody covering at the plate, and so Rollins comes in to score on a ball that traveled maybe 35 feet, and the Dodgers take a 2-0 lead.
And Jimmy Rollins read it perfectly. He saw that, well, exiting the area was the catcher, Perez, and Rollins just scampers in. Don't have to hit far to be effective.
So Kendrick gets his second RBI of the spring. The Dodgers have a 2-0 lead, and Scott Van Slyke is the batter with Grandal at second base. And a foul back to the screen, and it's 0-1.
Oh, he was all over it, too. If the home run 0-1 pitch in the second inning came close to his hitting that ball hard.
wasn't much doubt about it at the moment of contact. The home run by Scott Van Slyke is first of the spring and the second. No balls and a strike and 2 out. Up and in to Van Slyke, 1-1. Van Slyke, the big right-handed hitter out of St. Louis. Fouls it toward the Dodger dugout, and the count is 1-2. Van Slyke, in his 4th big league season, .261 career hitter, 212 at-bats last year, 11 home runs, 29 runs batted in. One ball, 2 strikes. Grandal leads from second. Chen now steps off the rubber. I was going to say that Van Slyke steps out of the batter's box. Can't do that anymore.
With 1 foot you can, but you have to keep one inside of it.
Here's the 1-2, low and outside, 2-2. He gets a new baseball to work with. Chen. Van Slyke can step in the box.
Or if it's a pickoff play or a foul ball or time is called or if the catcher goes out in front of home plate to put on a defensive sign, then you're allowed to leave the box. We've only seen one hitter, really, or one umpire that has enforced it.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Dodgers with a 0-0 lead. A run in here in the bottom of the 3rd. Now Chen steps off the rubber. Justin Turner is on deck. Chen delivers. Van Slyke lines one. Deep pull at shortstop. Ramirez has nothing to do but eat it. He faked the throw, hoping Grandal might bite and try to come around and score. He did not. So an infield hit for Van Slyke. 1st and 3rd, 2 out. Justin Turner is coming up.
Dodgers' 3rd hit in the inning. Grandal seen that the 3rd baseman, Rollinger, who just came in the game, left the bag unattended, was able to go over and get it.
So runners at the corners, and here is Justin Turner. Having a terrific spring after a career year last year when he hit .340. I don't think anybody saw that coming, including Turner. The ball inside and high, 1 ball and no strikes. Turner came into spring last year just hoping for a job in competition for that starting second base spot that was eventually won by D. Gordon. Here's the 1-0. And a fly ball into short left field. Camped underneath it is Destin Hood. He makes the catch, and that will end the inning. 1 run, 3 hits, 2 left. We go to the 4th. Dodgers 2. Friday afternoon, 83 degrees. Just a couple of puffy white clouds off in the distance. And a reminder, Dodger fans, mark your calendars for Wednesday, April 8th, when the Dodgers host the Padres at 7:10. The first 40,000 fans in attendance receive an adult replica pullover jacket presented by Bank of America. To secure your tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. New pitcher for the Dodgers, right-hander Mike Adams. 22 appearances last year with the Phillies, a 2.89 ERA. His best years were in San Diego, 2008 through 2011, when he came out of the bullpen to be followed by Luke Gregerson. That was a nasty 1-2 punch, and the Dodgers saw him at his best. And he's had some injuries over the years, delivers a strike, and it's 0-1.
Some hitters have trouble just tracking the ball from Adams. He kind of slings it, comes over the top of the shoulder, but he'll move his arm way behind him and sling it around the body.
Long and lean, 6'5", 210, delivers a slingshot, and it's fouled back and out of play. Ryan Rayburn is the batter, and the count is 0-2. Out of Corpus Christi, Texas.
Trying to come off of a left knee injury that really hampered him last year.
Came up with the Brewers in 2004, then to the Padres, Rangers, and Phillies. Where's number 0? Here's the 0-2. Check swing, fouled off to the right and out of play.
Rayburn had one of those injections just a few days ago, the lubricant injection into his knee. He's had some soreness, but last year the knee was really an issue. They're not overly concerned this year.
Expected to be the 4th or 5th outfielder for the Indians again this year. Rayburn walked in his first at bat. The 0-2 from Adams is outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Zach Greinke had one of those lubricant injections in his elbow. It is amazing what sports medicine has been able to do to keep the players on the field.
Like getting some oil for your engine. Here's the 1-2. Swung on a miss, strike 3. A nasty slider. That was vintage Mike Adams. Rayburn down, tried to check his swing and had no chance.
Now, if you don't like the slider, you don't want to face Mike Adams. That's just perfect placement right there. Rayburn had an idea, I want to hold up, but it was too late.
So there are quite a few vacancies in the Dodger bullpen coming into the regular season. And Adams, certainly a contender. Tyler Holt, right-handed batter, now hitting for the Indians. He bounced to short in his first at-bat and takes a strike. It's 0-1. Adams in 2008 had a 2.48 ERA. In 2009, in 37 appearances, his earned run average was under 3/4 of a run. Now the 0-1. Low and outside, 2-1. 2010, ERA of 1.76 in 70 appearances with the Padres. 2011, a 1.13 ERA. Career earned run average 2.41. So there's a lot to like and a lot about his upside. Mike Adams on 1-1 to the right-handed hitting Holt. Fouls it back to the screen, and it's 1-2.
Dodgers could really consider themselves very fortunate that they've been able to amass different players, different personnel for the starting spot. What's going to happen also in the bullpen? Don Mattingly and Rick Honeycutt have some decisions along with the front office. Competition is a very good thing to have on your ball club coming into spring training. Now, which of those players will be among the 25 that actually open up the season?
Holt on 1-2 with 1 out. 2-0 Dodgers, top of the 4th. Fouls it off to the right and out of play off the end of the bat. Jerry Sands on deck.
Take the Indians for example, Charlie. They came into camp really with 2 spots open in their rotation. McAllister and Tomlin. Terry Francona knows that they've had some injuries already in spring. Not too many on the pitching end of it, but boy, they've had players already.
The 1-2 is just inside of low, 2-2.
Still waiting for Nick Swisher to get healthy enough from his legs after the knee surgeries.
They haven't even circled a day for Swisher's return. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Dodgers with solo runs in the second and the third. A solo home run for Van Slyke in the second. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Tyler Holt. Adam said, here's the pitch. Outside, 3-2. So on opening day, the Indians project Michael Bourne, Brandon Moss, and Michael Brantley in the outfield. Well, Moss is still not 100%, fouled off to the right and out of play. They'd like to think that Swish will be the DH. They're not sure he'll be ready to go. Carlos Santana, the switch hitting first baseman, Kipnis at second, Ramirez at short, and their third baseman Lonnie Chisenhall, and the catcher Jan Gomes is one of the best young catchers in the game.
Indians are hoping that Moss will be in the ball game tomorrow against the Padres.
Here's a 3-2, low and outside, ball 4. A 1-out walk to Tyler Holt. So the Indians are a popular pick in the American League Central, but the White Sox obviously have improved greatly. Tigers can hit with the best of them.
Where the Indians really excelled was towards the latter stages of games. Of course, in order to do that, you've had a bullpen that can keep you close enough. They had 22 walk-off victories over the last 2 seasons. So they have had late inning heroics.
Now the hitter is Jerry Sands, takes a strike, and it's 0-1.
Last year they were 13-8 extra inning games. But they're trying to really revitalize their fan base. They were last in attendance a season ago.
No balls and a strike to Sands. Runner goes, pitches a strike, throw to second base. Not going to be in time. Throw a bit high. But Holt had the base stolen anyway. One is a strike to Jerry Sands. The count is 0-2 with 1 out. And the Indians have to catch the ball better. Defense was a big issue for them.
They led Major League Baseball in errors. That's never a good thing. And yet they won 85 games.
$118 errors for the Indians last year. Resulted in 72 unearned runs. Lined into right field, and it's caught by Chris Heisey down around the knee. That one was stung off the bat of Sands. It's a second out of the 4th.
Kind of where you're going to play Jerry Sands. Remember when he came up with the Dodgers a few years ago? Came up with really early appearance heroics in, I think the first one, RBI double, was a big one that he had. He kept hitting doubles to right center field, to right field. So he has opposite field power.
When he first came up, you would have thought his last name was Springer, because every time he came to the plate, Dodger fans kept screaming, Jerry, Jerry. Then he stopped hitting, and they stopped screaming Jerry. Roberto Perez, the batter, and he takes low and outside. 1 ball, no strikes. Dodgers 2 runs, 5 hits. Indians 0 runs and 2 hits. 2 out in the top half of the 4th. We'll be back with you tomorrow, simulcast. Kershaw pitching over in Peoria against the Mariners. 1 ball and no strikes. And Perez takes high and away. 2 balls, no strikes.
Charlie, let me check your memory bank. We talked about the defense of the Indians. July 1st, keep in mind, at Dodger Stadium, they turned in a triple play against the Dodgers, and it withstood 2 different replay reviews.
2 balls and no strikes. Low and outside, 3-0 to Roberto Perez with Eric Gonzalez on deck.
A triple play was bases loaded. Gonzalez hit a fly ball to Michael Brantley. Brantley made the catch for the first out through home. Got the out there. And then there was another play on the play, and Terry Francona was one that challenged the play, and they ruled Puig was going to be out.
Perez takes outside, ball 4, 2-out walk. Runners at first and second here in the 4th. That's right. The triple play was finalized by the replay rule.
And 2 different replay rules going. Terry Francona also did something last year that you normally don't see, but I think with the advent of the replay, we're seeing few and fewer ejections. He went the entire season and was never told, leave the game. I'm sure there may have been a couple he wished he had left.
Meanwhile, Rick Honeycutt has gone out to the mound to talk with Mike Adams. Joining the conversation is Van Slyke and Ellis. I haven't seen Honey out on very many visits this spring. Now Eric Gonzalez, right-handed hitter with 2 out. Swings and misses, and it's 0-1. This is going to be an interesting spring for Rick Honeycutt because he's got a lot of new guys in who have not come up through the organization. Most of them are veterans. But somehow they're going to have to craft a bullpen together between now and opening day. Here's the 0-1. Foul back and out of play. 0-2 to Eric Gonzalez, right-handed hitting second baseman.
For Rick Honeycutt and any pitching coach, it's impossible to have eyes on every pitcher in every phase in every different ballpark or parts of the training facilities. So he's relying very heavily on the rest of the coaches. They have meetings every morning. And sometimes meetings in the afternoon as well, or in the evening.
0-2. Adams deals. Line over the head of Jimmy Rollins into left center field for a base hit. Holt comes around to score. Perez being held at third as Gonzalez arrives at second. The Indians are on the board. The Dodger lead has been trimmed to 2-1.
That ball just stayed out over the plate, and it was up, and it was a hanger, and not too many good things happen on a hanging breaking ball unless they happen to be hit at someone. Again, just watching Jock Peterson, that went over and fielded that ball in left center field. Got to it, turned, and gave the cutoff man something to work with.
Well, Don Mattingly's going to come out and get Mike Adams. So Adams faces 5 batters, 2 hits and a walk, gives up a run. His afternoon is done, and the Dodgers are going to be making a pitching change here. We'll tell you who it is when we come back. B.J. Rosenberg now on in relief for the Dodgers. He's been around a little bit with the Phillies. 22 appearances in 2012, 22 more in 2013. 13 appearances out of the Philly bullpen last year. By and large, he has been a minor leaguer. First making his professional appearance in 2008.
He has some giddy up on the fastball. Last year on the disabled list 3 different times. Once with a concussion and twice with left hip strain.
So he inherits a second and third 2-out situation. And the first pitch off the bat of Destin Hood, slicing into the stands down the right field line. And it's 0-1. The pitching change is brought to you by In-N-Out Burger. Fresh cut fries from real potatoes, shakes made with real ice cream, fresh toasted buns, and pure beef patties. At In-N-Out, that's what freshness is all about. Why not stop in after the game?
Rosenberg fastball between 90 and 95. Jonathan Papelbon really worked with Rosenberg a couple of years ago in coming up with a split finger fastball.
So he's got some giddy up. Whether he's able to harness it all, that's been his issue. This is inside. 1 ball, 1 strike to Destin Hood. So 2 walks and a single off Mike Adams, and he's done. Hood bounced to third in his first at bat. And a high fly ball to left center field. That one is well hit. It is way back and caught at the wall by Jock Peterson. Well, one thing Peterson has shown really since last spring, defensively, he is major league ready. Offensively, not having a bad spring either. The Indians score a run in the top of the 4th. We go to the bottom of the 4th, 2-1 Dodgers. As we go to the bottom half of the 4th, it's going to be A.J. Ellis, Jock Peterson, and Chris Heising. We're still going to see Scott Schebler and Corey Seager before the day is done. Alex Guerrero is slated to play some. Okoye Dixon. And Ellis takes a ball outside. 1 ball, no strikes. Ellis popped to second in his first at-bat. And he takes inside. 2 balls and no strikes. AJ is one of those thinking man players, and we were talking a bit this morning, and he well understands what it's like to announce a spring training game, especially late in games. And we're talking about the new batch of kids, and that's why I'm mentioning that we'll be Schebler and Seager and Guerrero and Dixon a little bit later on. It's 3-1 to Ellis. And he said having these fellas around must make it easier for you as the game progresses. There's a strike. 3-2. And he's exactly right. You know, in years past, you'd have some Rule 5 guys who are trying to hang on. But now you've got this new batch with Peterson on deck, Seager and Dixon and the like. Schebler. Here's the 3-2. Ground ball to third. Nice easy hop for Ryan Rollinger. Throws across the diamond. And it's 0-1. We always talk about it in spring. It's not whether you win or lose, but how you play the game. And now watching these kids in the second half of these games becomes much more interesting.
Yeah, competition. Guys that are trying to make the ball club and earn a starting position instead of guys that are just trying to basically cling on and extend a career in baseball.
Now Jock Peterson, who walked in his first at-bat. Call strike, 0-1. Peterson is 8 for 19 this spring. A home run, 3 RBIs, and a couple of doubles. Walked in his first appearance. Big swing and a miss. Swung too hard and really was off balance when he was done. 0-2.
Yeah, too many moving parts on that swing, including a very high leg kick. But watch the upper body also if you're watching on the simulcast.
Chen on 0-2. And Peterson takes high and away 1 ball and 2 strikes.
It's really remarkable guys can hit with a high leg kick.
Here's the 1-2. There's a line drive base hit into center field.
And the ones that can do it can do it. For Peterson, he's been on twice, walked, and now single. And the reason I marvel at it is there's so many different moving parts, and your timing has to be right there. How do you control the timing? That leg kick, if it's an off-speed pitch.
Justin Turner has really perfected it.
Exactly.
1 out, 1 on, and Chris Heisey stepping in. Heisey bounced to third in his first at-bat. 0 for 13 so far this spring. Pennsylvania native. Came over from the Reds over the winter in the deal that sent pitcher Matt McGill to Cincinnati. The reputation about Heisey is he's solid if you play him 2 or 3 times a week. And he's very good coming off the bench. Pinch hitter, solid defender. But they can find weaknesses in his game if he's playing 6 out of 7 days. Jimmy Rollins on deck, and Heisey takes a call strike.
And there's some players that are just better suited to maybe not being in there each and every day. Keep them fresh, serving different roles. For Rollins, he doesn't fall in that category. You want him in there every day.
Jimmy's on deck. Dodgers a 2-1 lead. 1 out, 1 on, bottom of the 4th. Chen deals. Line foul up the third baseline.
Folks, as a reminder, for every Dodger home run, Daniels Jewelers family donates $1,000 to local children's charities. Over $500,000 over the last 4 seasons. Daniels Jewelers, making diamond dreams come true since 1948.
Happy to have Daniels Jewelers back with us again this year. 0-2. Heisey takes up and in. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Kershaw pitching tomorrow will be in Peoria. Dodgers and the Mariners on 1-2. Heisey a 1-hopper to short. Underhanded flip to second, and it slips out of the hand of second baseman Eric Gonzalez like a wet bar of soap. But it was out at second base. Doug Eddings with the emphatic out call. So Heisey takes the place of Peterson at first. Jimmy Rollins coming up with 2 out.
In the act of throwing the ball. Last year was a nightmare at the beginning of the season. That play was interpreted differently by umpires who said he had complete control of the ball. Was a must.
And how long must you hold on to the ball before the completion of the play? It was a Cleveland right fielder. where it was so blatantly obvious that he had made the catch, came out of his glove, and that did as much as anything to alter the tone and tenor of the replay rule for everybody.
Yeah, and the umpires were hindered. They were under orders to call it that way.
2 balls and no strikes. So Eric Gonzalez at second base. The 2-0 on the way. There's a line drive headed toward the left field corner. Well hit by Rollins. Heisey rounding third. He's on his way home, and he will make it without a throw. Jimmy Rollins doubles into the left field corner. For Rollins, his second hit of the afternoon, and the Dodgers take a 3-1 lead.
Heisey able to use some speed going around the bases, but for Rollins, just very solid. Doesn't have a leg kick, barely has any stride, more of a weight transfer than anything else. Into the corner, and Heisey chugging and gets the green light from Lorenzo Bundy, the third base coach.
Looking into the not too distant future, I see and hear that Lorenzo Bundy will be on the pregame tomorrow.
On every Sunday during the season, unless his coaching chores will dictate otherwise. In fact, we're going to add a new little twist on Fridays when the Dodgers are at home. We'll talk to Steve Yeager. On Wednesdays, we talk to Tim Wallach, the bench coach, and on Sundays, Lorenzo Bundy. So
now
it's
Carl Crawford.
He is slated to join us tomorrow. Get his take.
Crawford with a ground ball to second base. Eric Gonzalez picks it up and throws him out. That'll end the inning. But Jimmy Rollins with an RBI double, scoring Chris Heisey. Will go to the 5th. Dodgers 3 and the Indians 1. Ranch in Glendale, Arizona. We head to the 5th inning. Dodgers a 3-1 lead, and the 4th Dodger pitcher of the afternoon is 31-year-old J.P. Howell. The pitching change is brought to you by In-N-Out Burger. There's fresh and there's In-N-Out Burger Fresh. Always the highest quality ingredients, always made to order, never compromised at In-N-Out. That's what a hamburger is all about. Why not stop in after the game? So Howell delivers a strike, 0-1 to Ryan Rollinger, with Jose Ramirez on deck. JP delivers and a ground ball to short. Should be an easy play for Jimmy Rollins, and it is. He throws out Rollinger, first out of the top of the fifth. You know, it's Chevy Truck Month, where you can get great offers on the Silverado and the all-new Chevy Colorado, the 2015 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. Chevy trucks, high-strength steel for high-strength dependability. Only at your local SoCal Chevy dealer.
Talked with JP a couple of days ago. I said, how's the injury? Kind of a tight growing muscle. He said, you know, fortunately, I'm a veteran now. He said, had it been early in my career in spring training, I would have said, no, I'm good to go. And then you risk injury. One of the most important things you can do as a player is to understand as a training crew is there for your benefit. And if you are feeling any ill effects, get it treated right away and do not risk an injury.
Jose Ramirez, the batter, takes high and away, 2 balls and no strikes.
So JP said it was more precautionary than anything else. He's good to go.
In 2013 with the Dodgers, a 2.03 ERA. Last year, 2.39. But seemed to run out of gas in September last year. Howell delivers a strike, 2-1. His 3rd season in LA. Came up with the Rays in 2006. The ball outside, 3-1.
A.J. Ellis thought it was a strike.
Howell was a first-round pick of the Kansas City Royals in 2004. The 3-1 is a call strike. 3 balls and 2 strikes. And then was traded from Kansas City to Tampa. Remember Joey Gaithright? He was the speedster who could jump over cars. He just couldn't play baseball very well. Here's a 3-2, foul back and out of play. Gaithright would be at the other end of the Howell deal.
Now, Gaithright was fine if they had cars double parked between first and second. He could get over.
But getting to first base was a bit more problematic.
Yeah.
So Howell on 3-2 to Ramirez. He fouls it off his foot. Jason Kipnis is on deck. 1 out, nobody on, top half of the 5th. And the Dodgers with a 3-1 lead. Howell into the wind, the lefty deals. High chopper, in comes Rollins. He's going to have to fire it, and he does, and dug out nicely by Scott Van Slyke. That was a terrific play by Van Slyke at first base. 2 out. Ramirez can really run.
And Rollins is having fun too, knowing that Van Slyke saved the bacon. Kind of a routine ball. Rollins knew that he had to get rid of it in a hurry, and a nice job indeed on the opposite end by Scott Van Slyke.
Van Slyke this spring has nothing to prove to nobody, no how. He's just going out there, and whatever they're asking him to do, he's doing it, and feels secure in who he is and the role that he has. One ball, no strikes to Kipnis. 0 for 1 and a sacrifice today. Also bounced into a double play. Howell deals. Swinging a ground ball right at Van Slyke. Jogs about 3.5 steps to the bag. Kipnis is retired. Howell a 1-2-3 inning. We're halfway through this ball game on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. After 4.5, Dodgers 3 and the Indians 1. Right-hander Josh Tomlin now on in relief for the Indians. Beginning his 10th year in the Indian organization. In 25 appearances last year, 6-9 and a 4 3/4 ERA. Tomlin was going to pitch last Sunday, but right shoulder fatigue. But almost a week's worth of rest, and here he is facing Yasmani Grandal in the bottom of the 5th, and the Dodgers with a 3-1 lead. Tomlin delivers a strike, and it's 0-1.
Yeah, Tomlin curveball right over the top. Pretty good changeup as well. He's not guys you would consider overpowering at this stage.
Grandal fouls it into the dirt, and the count is 0-2.
On the big Cowboys, the native of White House, Texas, 125 miles southeast of Rangers Ballpark in Arlington.
He had Tommy John surgery in 2012. Now the 0-2. Grandal takes outside and low. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Meanwhile, 37-year-old Bruce Chen, a serviceable 4 innings today. 3 runs and 7 hits, a walk and a strikeout, 52 pitches, 37 for strikes. And Grandal swings and misses. Gets past the catcher Perez. Now it's a throw to first base to complete the strikeout, which he does. It kicked off toward the third base dugout about 15 feet from the plate, and was still easily able to get Grandal 1 out. Brings up Howie Kendrick. Kendrick 0 for 2. Squibbing it just foul up the first base line, and it's 0-1. He squibbed one up the first base line fair back in the 4th inning. He'll get an RBI out of the deal, plating Jimmy Rollins, who was at third. 3 runs, 7 hits, no errors for the Dodgers. 1 run, 3 hits, no errors for the Indians. Tomlin deals, and Kendrick takes a strike, and it's 0-2. Van Slyke, who's 2 for 2, is on deck. Tomlin into the wind. Here's the pitch. Kendrick wraps one foul past third base coach Lorenzo Bundy. April the 6th, Dodger Stadium, 1:10, first pitch, first game, 2015 season. The Padres are in town. Here's the 0-2. Grounded foul up the first base line. Kershaw, of course, pitching on opening day. Presumably, James Shields for the Padres. Matt Kemp, of course, will be making his first return to Dodger Stadium. One ball, 2 strikes. Tomlin into the wind, on in relief of Chen, and Kendrick grounds one to second base. Perfectly positioned is Eric Gonzalez. Throws out Kendrick first, to make that the second out of the 5th. Van Slyke with a long-distance home run over the Dodger bullpen to left in his first at-bat. An infield hit in his second at-bat, and bounces one toward the Dodger dugout to begin his third at-bat. Justin Turner is on deck. Tomlin into the wind, and the pitch to Van Slyke. This one off the end of the bat, and he rolls it up the first baseline past Davey Lopes, and the count is 0-2. Justin Turner on deck. On 0-2, Tomlin delivers a breaking ball. Van Slyke checks his swing. And the count is 1-2. Seth Buckminster is calling balls and strikes today. Here's the 1-2. Swung on and missed, strike three. Tomlin pulls the string. Van Slyke way out in front. Tomlin retires the Dodgers in order. Strikes out two. We go to the sixth. 3-1 Dodgers. You could have listened to the broadcast already be at Chumash Casino Resort, located in the beautiful Santa Barbara wine country 2 hours north of L.A. For more information, visit ChumashCasino.com. Dustin McGowan moved south of the border this year after 8 seasons up in Toronto. Last year, 53 appearances, started 8 games, an ERA of over 4. In his career, 25 up, 27 down, and an ERA of 4.57. Again, the Dodgers are hoping that McGowan can stay healthy. When he is, he's pretty darn good. But over the course of his career, he has had 8 visits to the disabled list. An oblique back in 2013, shoulder, he's had plantar fasciitis, more shoulder. And but again, when right, he is solid, and so the Dodgers are taking a calculated risk for the hard-throwing right-hander who delivers a strike, 0-1 to Ryan Rayburn. J.P. Howell pitched an inning and was perfect. Rayburn has struck out and has walked. So the Dodgers make a whole lot of changes. This is time of the season. McGowan deals. Tried to check his swing, but Rayburn went around, and the count is 1-2. New left fielder for the Dodgers, Alex Guerrero. Guerrero has hit very well this spring, and they're trying to find a place, maybe third base, left field for Guerrero to find a spot, and he's in left field now. Having replaced Carl Crawford, McGowan delivers low and outside, and the count is 2-2. Dodgers have an entirely new infield, which we will attend to in just a moment. McGowan is the 5th Dodger pitcher. And the 2-2. Breaking ball inside, 3-2. So McGowan facing Rayburn. Tyler Holt on deck, the 3-2. A leadoff walk, not exactly what McGowan wanted. So let's take a look at the Dodger infield going from third to first. New third baseman, Arizbel Arabarena. And the shortstop, Kike Hernandez. Darwin Barney, Gold Glove winner a couple of years back with the Cubs at second base. And Okoye Dixon, who has flexed his muscles with a couple of home runs, couple of doubles this spring, is at first. As we mentioned, Alex Guerrero has taken over in left. Tyler Holt is the batter. McGowan deals, and Holt fouls it off to the right. It's 0-1. Indians have a pinch runner at first base, Carlos Moncrief. And so Rayburn's day is done. McGowan deals, swing and a miss. And there's no balls and 2 strikes to Tyler Holt. No balls, 2 strikes, beginning the 6th, and the Dodgers lead 3-1. McGowan on 0-2. Kicks off the glove of Grandal. Or, I'm sorry, Ellis. To the backstop, and Moncrief will go to second base.
It's going to be a wild pitch, but for A.J. Ellis was sitting inside, but he just did not get the palm of the hand up. He tried to backhand the ball that was right between his legs instead of getting down and blocking it. I don't know if Boomer's boys are going to be working tomorrow morning very early, but if not tomorrow morning, on Monday morning, that's going to be reviewed.
Holt has grounded out, walked, and scored a run.
By the way, we get a lot of followings, and I say the Boomer's boys. That's Steve Yeager, and Boomer's his nickname. And last week I talked to Yeager, and we mentioned Boomer, and I said, "Do you care to tell how you got the nickname?" He said, "No, not really." Boys, there are all kinds of speculations on the websites and on the multimedias.
There's a 2-2, high and inside, 3-2.
So my understanding is, at least right now, is that next Wednesday he will review to the or release to the public. I mean, the intrigue is overwhelming. What's happened so far? Getting phone calls. Well, what's the story on this and that, what have you? But Boomer's boys, they're normally out here. They have to turn the lights on in the early morning because the catching corps, right behind the trainers, are the first to arrive.
The 3-2 lined into center field, and that's going to drop in for a base hit. Moncrief will come around to score. Ball bobbled in center by Peterson. And getting to second base is Holt. And the Indians have a run in. It's 3-2.
An error on Peterson. Shock tried to come back and delayed a little bit, but it was the transfer from the glove to the hand. And oops, second time we've seen that happen today. Once on the infield with the Indians, and for Jock Peterson, a little irritated.
So Holt is aboard. And one-time Dodger Jerry Sands is the batter. McGowan deals. And a pop-up into short right. Retreating is Barney. Now being called off by Chris Heisen, who makes the catch. And that's the first out of the 6th.
Now, normally an infielder, once they turn their back to you, as an outfielder, you look again and say, well, they have it. But if you still have a better beat on it, you call off that second baseman or the shortstop, whoever it may be. You're going to make an easier play. You have to be able to yell and convey the fact, I've got it. I mean, get out of the way.
But Yasiel Puig, when he comes in, he doesn't yell, he whistles. That can shatter glass and make dogs spin.
If you're an infielder, if you have your back to the outfield and you hear that whistle, it's like a air raid siren.
Oncoming train.
Oh.
The hitter, Roberto Perez, and McGowan misses outside. 1 ball, no strikes. Brett Anderson solid today. No runs, 2 hits in 3 innings. Mike Adams, 22 pitches, 13 for strikes in 2/3 of an inning. A run, a hit, 2 walks, and a strikeout. J.P. Howell is perfect. And McGowan is kind of scuffling here in the 6th. Dodgers lead 3-2. Puig went home sick before the game. Gonzalez had the afternoon off, so did Uribe. And there's a call strike, a crackling fastball. And it's 2 balls and a strike to Roberto Hernandez.
Pretty good heater right there.
I'm sorry, Roberto Perez. Roberto Hernandez with the Dodgers last year. Signed a minor league contract with somebody the other day. 2 balls, 1 strike, in and out. McGowan delivers a strike. Inside corner, chest high, 2-2. There was nothing that Perez could have done with that pitch. All he could do is take it. Two balls, 2 strikes. Holt leads from second. A run in for the Indians here in the 6th. Dodgers lead 3-2. McGowan deals high and outside. And it's 3-2. This is anything but an easy inning for McGowan. And the veteran Adams, 2/3 of an inning and 22 pitches. 3 balls, 2 strikes, and 1 out. And here's the pitch from McGowan. Swung on and missed, strike 3.
Came back with dead red. Here it comes. Get ready.
Hit it if you can. And he couldn't. So Perez is down on strikes. And Eric Gonzalez is coming up. Gonzalez starting at second base today. Kipnis, the everyday second baseman, was the DH. Gonzalez 1 for 2. McGowan misses outside. 1 ball, no strikes. Gonzalez with his single in the 4th inning, just his second hit of the spring, is 2 for 18. Destin Hood in the on-deck circle. He's a right-handed batter. McGowan deals, and a fly ball toward the right field corner. Drifting on back is Heisey, who will make the catch, and that will end the inning. 1 run, 1 hit. The leadoff walk comes back to bite McGowan. We go to the bottom half of the 6th, and the Dodgers lead at 3-2. Reminder, MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, now available. Join the millions of subscribers and watch every out-of-market game live in true HD on over 400 devices. Visit MLB.TV for details. Kike Hernandez leads it off. This is Hernandez' first at bat. He lines a base hit into right field.
Some changes for the Indians. Carlos Moncrief is now in a right field. Michael Martinez is at second base. Jesus Aguilar now is taken over at first.
Would you mind running that by me one more time?
That would be Mr. Moncrief in right.
Carlos Moncrief in right.
Michael Martinez is at second.
Okay.
Jesus Aguilar is playing at first.
Okay.
That is all for right now.
That is all. A.J. Ellis, probably his last at-bat of the day. And it's a strike, 0-1. We were talking about it in the hallway this morning with the pace of play and 2 minutes and 25 seconds between innings now. There's no, I guess the rule is no lollygagging. And so things hurry up even between innings, and then in spring training when you have all these changes, we have to adjust. Time marches on in 2 minutes and 25 seconds. No balls and a strike to Ellis, who takes a breaking ball for a strike. And it's 0-2.
All of the changes that happen and not much time in between innings. It's like trying to play three-dimensional chess while you're pedaling on a unicycle.
And thinking you're playing checkers. So it becomes a bit of an issue. No balls and 2 strikes. Hernandez leads from first. Tomlin said about the chest. Here's the pitch. It's in the dirt. And it gets past the catcher, Perez. And Hernandez just does manage to beat the throw. It kicked off maybe 10 feet to the left of Perez. A late jump for Hernandez, but he runs well.
Saw the ball get away and then took off just barely in there under the tag. Good throw by Perez, the catcher.
So we now know that Perez has a good throwing arm. And A.J. Ellis, 1 ball and 2 strikes to Ellis, who was popped to second and grounded to second today. Peterson on deck. Ellis takes low. And it's 2-2. Tomlin on in relief of Chen, who pitched a solid 4 innings today. A slow roller to short. Hernandez for a moment had designs of going to third and realized he would have been a dead duck, so he retreats to second. Ellis grounds to short, unable to advance the runner. And Jock Peterson coming up.
Hernandez had to slam on the brakes and get back to the bag.
Peterson with a hit and a walk. Jock Peterson is now 9 for 20 this spring, including a home run night before last. Kike Hernandez nearly got picked off on a timing play from Tomlin to Ramirez, the shortstop, coming in on the blind side. Very close play.
You're the runner at second base. You're watching the pitcher And you're keeping an eye on the second baseman. You are listening for the third base coach to let you know if the shortstop is breaking in behind you.
So Jock Peterson swings and misses. Nearly came out of his shoes on that rip and comes up empty.
Hernandez came very close to just being blocked by the legs of the shortstop. Ramirez. Peterson, the first swing, a little bit too big of a swing.
Stands practically upright. And the leg kick. As he takes a strike. And it's 0-2.
Here's an area we haven't seen Peterson in that often. That's down the count, no balls and 2 strikes. And I mention that because hitters will make adjustments when you're behind in the count. Peterson does not choke up on the bat. Right little finger still down on the over the knob of the bat.
0-2 to Peterson. And the pitch on the way. High and away. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Trying to go away from the power there. 0-2. Do they stay away or show in and go then away? From a hitter's standpoint, you don't have a whole lot to bank on when you're behind in the count. 1 ball and 2 strikes. You have to protect the plate, look for something that's close. They're going to come in on him, it looks like.
Yeah, he takes a pitch down and away, and it's 2-2.
Yeah, there's the breaking ball. They were trying to get it low and in, but missed away.
Peterson was drafted in 2010 in the 11th round by the Dodgers. And last year at Albuquerque. .30-30 club, 33 home runs, 30 stolen bases. But Peterson goes down on strikes. It's second out of the 6th. And Chris Heisey's coming up.
Tomlin working really good to the spots. Moving the ball in and out, trying to keep it down.
He's a guy who has to. He's got a little margin for error. So now with 2 out, Heisey 0 for 2 is now hitless in 14 at bats this spring. He swings and misses, and it's 0-1.
Yeah, Kike Hernandez got a base hit the other night over at Bureau that broke an 0 for 13 streak. And you know that Heisey is thinking about the fact hitters know, whether it be spring training or not, hey, I'm a 0 for what?
0 for spring.
Yep.
Jimmy Rollins on deck. Dodgers 3-2. 2 out in the bottom of the 6th. Heisey rips one foul up the third baseline.
And when you're 0 for 14 or if you're 0 for 7, what do you garner out of an at bat? Well, Chris Heisey knows that he just handled that last pitch very well. Now, he happened to pull it foul. But those are the things that hitting coaches look at. From Mark McGwire and John Valentin. You're looking for something positive from one of your hitters. And that was a positive swing. The results, foul ball and a strike. But mechanically, that was a good swing.
0-2 as Hernandez leads from second, and Heisey nearly gets hit by a pitch. That's a jackknife out of the way, and it's 1 ball, 2 strikes. Dodgers lead 3-2. They've out hit the Indians 8-4. The count is 1-2 to Heisey with 2 out. Hernandez leads from second, and Heisey goes down on strikes. Swings and misses. Foul tips it into the glove of Perez. That ends the inning. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. We'll go to the 7th. Dodgers 3, Indians 2. 10 seconds for station identification on the Dodgers radio network. Rick Monday, Charlie Steiner. We are coming to you from Camelback Ranch in Glendale, Arizona, through 6 innings of play. Dodgers 3 runs, 8 hits, 1 error. And the Indians 2 runs, 4 hits, and no errors. David Ardsma now on in relief. Ardsma becomes the 6th Dodger pitcher of the day. McGowan went 1 inning in the 6th. 20 pitches, 10 strikes. 1 run, 1 hit, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. Leadoff walk, and the Indians would cash in. Destin Hood is now leading off for the Indians in the 7th. David Ardsma, the new pitcher, delivers a strike, and it's 0-1. Other changes for the Dodgers as Ardsma delivers and Hood misses badly, and it's 0-2. Matt Carson has taken over in center field. And the new right fielder, Scott Schebler, who has been very interesting this spring. Here's the 0-2. Ardsma misses just outside. 1-2. New catcher for the Dodgers is Austin Barnes. A.J. Ellis's day is done. So a complete turnover on the field for the Dodgers as Ardsma delivers call strike 3. That was a beauty.
Long one back to the dugout. I don't care what month it is. The breaking ball, it was up. I just gave up on it a little bit too soon.
As Hood walked back to the dugout, looked over his shoulder as if to say, who was that masked man? And Ryan Rollinger is the batter, and he swings and foul tips it into the glove of Barnes, and it's 0-1.
For pitchers in spring training, they want to get hitters out, no question. But they're also working on different things, trying to get acclimated again to the mound, just like hitters are.
Ardsma on 0-1, overthrows a fastball. It kicks past Barnes to the backstop, 1-1.
What's strange is that very first game, the first couple of times you, as a hitter, you come to home plate, you really feel a little weird because you have not been there before. Same way defensively. And for pitchers, it's like a lonely place out there on the hill. And there are various days that while you're trying to get guys out, there are certain things you're working on specifically that day.
Day after day, alone on the hill, and is popped off to the right. Okoye Dixon makes the catch in foul territory. Rollinger fouls out. There's the second out.
For example, things to work on as pitchers progress during this spring training, as it might be. Well, today we're working on the slider a little bit more than we normally would. Do you pitch to the hitters the same way that you would pitch to them during the regular season? Probably not. Might be a day you're working on more the curveball. You're going to see that a little bit more than you would normally have. So it's a day of work, not based on just results at all.
Jose Ramirez with 2 outs, switch hitting shortstop, lines a single into left field. It'll bring up Jason Kipnis. And here we are in the top of the 7th. And if you're not in the stadium, and the odds are you're not, you can bring home the taste of the Dodgers' world famous Chef Burrito loaded nachos by driving to Ralph's and then buying Chef Burrito's carne asada season. So 2-out single for Ramirez. Brings up Kipnis, who is 0 for 3. The DH today, just getting some at-bats. Eric Gonzalez has played out in the field. Now Ardsma steps off the rubber.
White Sox do have an anniversary this year, the 10th anniversary of their World Series victory over Houston. And the 2005, they're going to have that ceremony against Houston during the summer. You know, the retirement of Paul Konerko, there's not a player on the team that remains in the Sox from that year. In fact, only 5 members of the championship team remain in the major leagues.
No balls and 1 strike. Hartzman deals high and away. It's 1-1.
Juan Uribe, by the way, is one of those players.
Uribe with the day off today, as Archman deals low and outside to Jason Kipnis, and the count is 2-1. Carlos Moncrief is on deck. Kershaw tomorrow, and a fly ball to left field. Pretty much at Guerrero who makes the play, and that ends the inning. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 man left. 7th inning stretch from Glendale. Dodgers 3, Indians 2. Indians. Cody Allen. Sold out house on this Saturday afternoon. Fans are beginning to leave and beat the traffic. Here's Allen. A really good year last year. ERA just a shade over 2, and opposing hitters hit a shade under 200. You know, you could still guarantee your seat for opening day. Many plans are still available that include opening day, all 10 bobbleheads, fireworks nights, 4th of July, a Father's Day barbecue set, and the Tommy Lasorda Garden Gnome, and many more great promotions you won't want to miss this summer. Visit Dodgers.com/mini plans. Some more changes for the Indians we'll attend to in a moment. Rizbel Arbarena is the hitter, and he fouls it off to the left. It's 0-1. New second baseman Audie Suriaco. And Michael Martinez, who had been playing at second base, moves over to shortstop. New catcher is Adam Moore. 0-1. Allen deals. Swing and a miss. Sackey foul tipped it. And the count is 0-2 to Arbarena. He was 2 for 10 with an RBI this one. On 0-2. Arboretus skies to straightaway center field. Back a step, now in a steps Tyler Holt. Makes the catch, and that's the first out of the 8th inning.
Cody Allen, the right-hander from the big metropolis of Trophy Club, Texas. The last census that we can find, a population of 8,024. Trophy Club, Texas.
Alex Guerrero had a good spring offensively and playing a fair amount of left field and third base. Takes a strike. It's 0-1. He's 6 for 12 with a home run and 2 runs batted in. The 0-1 pops it foul off to the right, and the count is 0-2. Now the question is, Guerrero has made his feelings known. He will not be sent out. It's in his contract. So what do the Dodgers do?
Well, the Dodgers have let it be known too. You're not on the 40-man roster.
Here comes the 0-2. And he pops it up. Left side in short left field. Michael Martinez camped underneath it, makes the catch.
Charlie, I thought Don Mattingly had one of the best explanations of Alex Guerrero. And it's really nice to see Guerrero swinging the bat very well. But Don Mattingly says, look, in the defense of Alex Guerrero, if we look at last year, he comes over, there's a language barrier, there's a culture barrier. He did not really have an opportunity to get his feet on the ground. And I remember the very first game here last year at Camelback Ranch, Glendale. Guerrero was the starting second baseman, did not have a good first game, did not have a good second or third game for that matter. I think it just kind of compounded itself.
Grandal with a fly ball into right center field. Camped underneath it is Tyler Holt, and a 1-2-3 inning for Cody Allen. Nothing across, and we will go to the 8th with the Dodgers leading the Indians 3-2. Justin Turner's day is done. In fact, all of the Dodgers starters are heading back to the clubhouse. All of the folks out on the field at the moment are understudies. Paco Rodriguez becomes the 7th Dodger pitcher of the day. 19 appearances last year. Injuries were part of his deal. David Arnsma goes an inning, no runs and a hit, 1 strikeout, 11 pitches, 8 for strikes. On this Saturday afternoon, it began with Brett Anderson. Had to be happy with his 3 innings, no runs, 2 hits, 2 strikeouts, and a walk. 33 pitches, 22 for strikes. Mike Adams struggled 2/3 of an inning, a run and a hit, 2 walks and a strikeout. B.J. Rosenberg made his Dodger debut, retired the only batter he would face. J.P. Howell, perfect inning. McGowan pitched an inning, a run and a hit. Ardsma, no runs, a hit and a strikeout in his inning. And now here's Paco Rodriguez. And Carlos Moncrief is the first batter he will face. And here's the first pitch from Paco. The lefty deals a strike, and it's 0-1.
Saw Paco pitching against the Rockies here on Tuesday. He faced 3 batters. He struck out 3. His slider was unhittable.
Well, he's got that unconventional release. And the 0-1, swing and a miss. That one had some mustard on it, too. It's 0-2. Kershaw and the Dodgers play in Peoria tomorrow against the Mariners. And we'll be on the air on the radio 12:30 for the pregame. Simulcast at 1, first pitch at 5 after 1. Paco Rodriguez retires Moncrief on 3 pitches, swing and a miss on a pitch that was down and in.
Here in Glendale at the present time, it's 86 degrees. It's lovely. And the Indians are really enjoying the weather here, and their fans from Cleveland, because right now, beautiful downtown Cleveland, 38.
Tyler Holt squares to bunt up the third baseline. It rolls foul, and it's 0-1.
Paco Rodriguez is also healthy. He did a lot of, I think, soul searching last year. It was another experience for him. There's that flat boarded bill of the cap.
No balls and 1 strike. It's outside. 1-1. Paco's filling out. Looks like he put on about maybe 5 pounds, but he is well proportioned now. Put on some weight in the offseason. Misses inside, 2 balls and a strike.
And for those who are watching the simulcast on the television, when Paco Rodriguez comes up from that set position, you can see the glove shaking. The reason is, if he's going to change the grip on the ball while it's in the glove and coming up set, he does not want the hitter to be able to see the glove moving in any particular direction. So he kind of shakes it.
A looping line drive into center field, but there to make the catch is Matt Carson. And that's 2 out, nobody on. Kind of like what Ryan Dempster did with the Cubs, not as pronounced as Dempster.
Yeah, Dempster was shaking the glove as he broke the hands. It was like he was saying hello to you with the glove. When you talk to Paco Rodriguez, he's also, I think, advanced from being able to analyze how he pitches, his strengths, his weaknesses. And that's going to change from one game to the next to maybe get into a period of time that you're having difficulty with one pitch versus the other, or vice versa. One's working exceptionally well.
Paco, second-round pick in 2012, and he became the first player of that draft to make it to the major leagues in 2012. Came on with a house of fire. 11 appearances 3 years ago and a 1.35 ERA. Swing and a foul off the foot of Jesus Aguilar, who is making his first at-bat of the day. And Aguilar, no balls and 2 strikes.
Rodriguez has also smoothed the delivery out a little bit. He used to have a very big hesitation. His arm back behind as he was about to come forward with it. He's kind of smoothed it out.
On 0-2, line drive, base hit, headed toward the left field corner. Guerrero will run it down, but not before it reaches the wall. And arriving at second base is Sands with a double. 2 out. I'm sorry, is Aguilar, who was hitting in Sands' spot.
Not a particularly good pitch. 0-2. As good as his slider, he being Rodriguez. Slider was on Tuesday. Punched out all 3 batters that he faced. That's just a hanger. At 0-2, you pay the price when it's over the middle.
Adam Moore is the hitter, and he's making his first plate appearance of the day. This was not exactly a star-studded cast. That ground ball in the hole, it's short. A beautiful diving stop by Hernandez keeps the ball in the infield. Unable to throw out Moore at first, but by that diving stop, Aguilar unable to score, and so it's first and third, 2 out.
Yeah, you stop the runner from scoring and from his knees. Talk about a strong throwing arm. On the other side, gets the 1 hop to perfection. So it saves the run. A little bit of a cleaning bill he'll get for the uniform.
Put it on Mitch Poole's tab. There's a strike, 0-1. The hitter Michael Martinez. First and third.
The equipment manager of the Dodgers.
30 years now.
And a great one.
And a fly ball left field. Drifting on back is Guerrero. He's there, and he makes the catch, and that ends the inning. No runs, 2 hits, 2 left. We go to the bottom of the 8th. And the Dodgers lead the Indians 3-2. Go to the bottom half of the 8th. Anthony Swarzak. And Darwin Barney will be leading it off for the Dodgers. Dodgers with runs in the 2nd, 3rd, and the 4th. The Indians with 1 in the 4th, 1 in the 6th. And the Dodgers, who have played 4 ties already this spring. This is their 12th game, 5-2-4 their record. And Barney leading it off. Takes high and inside, 1 ball and no strikes. Well, one of the things that we have noticed this spring is that we have not seen any 10-inning games. Usually they would play an extra inning, and then if it was tied, they'd go home. I don't know that I've seen a 10-inning game played all spring anywhere. Certainly the Dodgers haven't. 2 balls and no strikes to Darwin Barney. He fouls it back, and it's 2-1. More of what you want is at Nissan now, and now's the best time to get great offers on our exciting full line. Shop ChooseNissan.com and your local Nissan store today. Hurry! Offers end soon. Barney on 2-1 takes low and outside, 3-1. Barney is 2 for 15 so far this spring. Okoye Dixon is on deck, and a ground ball to second base. Right at Audie Suriaco. Barney's retired, 1 out.
Here's one for you. We talk about opportunities of younger players. It was on this date, 1954, that there was a player that filled in for Bobby Thompson, who had just broken his ankle the day before. And this player started his first game in a Braves uniform. He was 20 years old, out of Mobile, Alabama. And he made such an impression that day. He had 3 hits, a home run, that they offered Hank Aaron a major league contract. This date, 1954, Hank Aaron in his first spring training game.
And when he made it to the big leagues with the Braves, he started out as a second baseman. Had a pretty good run, didn't he?
Not bad.
As elegant a gentleman as he was great as a player. Okoye Dixon, 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out in the bottom of the 8th. Kike Hernandez is on deck. A ground ball up the middle. Diving stop by Suriaco. Throws to first. Not going to get Dixon. Lovely play by Suriaco. A foot on the outfield grass directly behind the bag. Just to keep the ball in the infield. But had no chance to get Dixon.
Breaking ball that was up. Really remarkable right into batter, but Suriaco was playing kind of up the middle to begin with.
Another solidly hit ball off the bat of Okoye Dixon.
The listening broadcast may sound like a broken record, but the young group of players is really impressive.
Kike Hernandez spanks a single between short and third out into left field. So 1 out, 2 on. And Austin Barnes is coming up. Dixon, the runner at second base, is built like a fullback. But he can hit. And now Barnes, who came over from the Marlins, takes high and inside, 1 ball, no strikes. Along with Kike Hernandez, who's the runner at first. Chris Hatcher. Not as glamorous names, perhaps, as Dan Herron and D. Gordon. But so far, the Dodgers are very happy with what they got in return, these young players. 2 balls and no strikes to Barnes. Matt Carson is on deck. High and inside. And it's 3 balls and no strikes to Austin Barnes.
Would not think that Barnes would get a take sign here in spring training, 3-0.
Dixon at second, Hernandez at first. The pitch on the way is low and outside, ball 4, and the bases are loaded. So Matt Carson stepping into the batter's box. With Scott Schebler on deck. Carson takes low and outside. 1 ball and no strikes. Carson signed as a minor league free agent. Lives in Temecula, born in Newport Beach. Played a little bit at the big league level with the Athletics, the Twins, and the Indians. 13 minor league seasons, so he has been working hard. 2 balls and no strikes. He's 33. Went to BYU after graduating from Yucaipa High School. On 2-0, Carson with a fly ball to center field. That is well hit. Holt goes back, and it is gone. A grand slam home run. The mighty Carson art player. Matt Carson, a grand slam. The Dodgers lead it 7-2.
Well, you're happy to see players really kind of come through and deliver. Maybe even happier when you look at the players you mentioned, Charlie. He had toiled. He loves the game of baseball. Well, he went downstairs and got a fastball, knowing that you've got a pitcher that's run into problems, and just kept going back and back. Was Holt and could not go back far enough.
So the Dodgers now 7-2. And Scott Schebler swings and misses, and it's 0-1. You can't help but root for a guy like Matt Carson. 33, he has kicked around and been playing nothing but off-Broadway most of his career. Schebler fouls it back. And it's 0-2, and he comes home to Southern California. Realistically, little or no shot to break camp with the Dodgers this year, but he's in the organization, and today he flexes his muscles. Schebler takes high and outside, 1-2.
Trying to make the best impression that you can, because injuries are going to present itself, and they're going to have to bring up players all throughout the season.
Foul back and out of play. Remember early in Terry Francona's managerial career, he was with the Phillies, probably 97, 98. They got off to a great start and then fell out a bit. Schebler swings and misses. He's been struck out. They were off doing a game with ESPN in those days. I said, so what's happened here? He said, look, you don't win a pennant with a 25-man roster. You win a pennant with a 40-man roster and maybe 35 players over the course of a season. And at that point, the Phillies minor league system was barren, and there was nobody to call up. So you want to fortify that double and triple A as much as you can. Arbarena grounds to third, and he will be thrown out easily, and that will end the inning. We'll go to the ninth. Matt Carson with a grand slam. And we go to the ninth, 7-2 Dodgers. Grand slam in the bottom of the 8th. 33-year-old veteran, minor leaguer essentially, but didn't matter to him in the least as he hit one over the fence. Pedro Baez on to finish it up for the Dodgers here in the 9th. And this afternoon's Chumash Casino Resort 9th inning jackpot contestant Betsy Myers. If the Dodgers win the game, Betsy will win a free stay-and-play getaway at Chumash Casino Resort, located 2 hours north of L.A. in the Santa Barbara wine country. Betsy will get a free night stay plus $100 in free slot play. Enter to win by going to am570radio.com. Baez, a very pleasant surprise last year. And he can muscle it up into the upper 90s. Francisco Lindor is the hitter. The Indians project him as their shortstop of the future. But Jose Ramirez, who took over at short when Cabrera was traded last year, has done a very nice job. So Lindor, they think, may be a year away, and takes high and away, 1 ball and no strikes. Baez deals. Swing and a foul back. 1 ball, 1 strike.
By the way, on that grand slam, the trip around the diamond by Matt Carson. Brought to you by Daniels Jewelers, and for every Dodger home run, the Daniels Jewelers family donates 8 local children's charities, over $500,000 the last 4 years. Daniels Jewelers, making diamond dreams come true since 1948.
1-1 from Baez to Lindor. High chopper off the mound. Austin Barnes comes out and in front of Baez, picks it up, throws, and then slides, and a dive and a wonderful play at the other end by Dixon as well.
And picked it up on a bare hand. It's difficult enough. You have to wait for the ball to come down. Barnes tosses the mask, misses the bat, and picks it up with the bare hand as it just bounced off the ground. It was still in the air when he barehanded.
Among the things that the Dodgers like about Austin Barnes, ex of the Marlins. And Ryan Rollinger is the batter. He swings and misses, and it's 0-1. So Baez with the big arm couldn't hit much at the minor league level. Ergo, a position change.
Not hitting is okay if you have a strong arm.
You have a fallback position. Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
How about safety valve?
How about Chris Hatcher? 1 year a catcher, next year a pitcher at the major league level. And he is another one of those acquisitions in that Marlins deal. Rollinger today is 0 for 3. Foul back and out of play. And it's 1-2. So I think a first reaction by a lot of Dodger fans when Herron and Gordon were traded to the Marlins. Who are these guys? Well, slowly but surely, the answers are becoming a bit more evident this spring. One ball and 2 strikes. Here's the pitch. Fouled off to the right and out of play. Audie Suriaco is on deck. And Baez certainly has the physical tools to be a closer. Upstairs and inside, 2-2. And again, I think open auditions for that closing spot now until Kenley Jansen is back. Two balls, 2 strikes. And it's popped up behind the plate and out of play. Kenley will be in that walking boot for another week or two, so he's doing a lot of upper body stuff in the weight room. The surgery took place about halfway between the heel and the pinky toe, left side. And it's popped foul, and Austin Barnes is going to run out of room. The surgical incision, which is still stitched and not a pretty sight to be sure. It's about 3 or 4 inches. It is a big deal. But he is apparently on schedule in his return, but they don't have any kind of a firm date, at least the first month or more, for Kenley Jansen. Now the 2-2. Just outside and low 3-2. Baez thought he had strike 3.
That's an impressive attempt right there to get the punch out low and away. Outside corner, just barely did miss.
So Baez and Hatcher can really muscle it up there in that mid to upper 90s range. Here's the 2-2. Fly ball, left field, drifting up and over and making the catch is Guerrero. There's 2 out. Again, watching Guerrero, as I say, small sample size. He looks reasonably comfortable in left.
He does. In fact, he looks more comfortable in left field than what we've seen than what I observed him as a second baseman last year in the very first game of spring training. Former shortstop. But for Alex Guerrero, the more positions he can play, the better the calling card.
Well, he can hit. 2 out, and here is Suriaco. And Baez trying to put an end to him and the game. Fastball low and outside. 1 ball, no strikes. Dodgers and Mariners tomorrow. Pregame on the radio 12:30. Simulcast begins at 1. First pitch at 5 after 1. And Clayton Kershaw will be making the start for the Dodgers. Here's the 1-0. Fly ball. Left field. Right there is Guerrero, and that's going to do it. So Baez comes in, retires the side in order, and the Dodgers beat the Indians on this Saturday afternoon, 7-2. For the Dodgers, 7 runs, 11 hits, 1 error. They left 6. The Indians, 2 runs, 7 hits, no errors. They left 8. Brett Anderson, very good today. No runs, 2 hits in 3 innings, gets the win. Bruce Chen takes the loss. Game lasted 2 hours and 37 minutes. So that's going to do it from Camelback Ranch. Our Sportsnet LA viewers, we'll see you tomorrow at 1. Dodgers and the Mariners will have at it in Peoria. See you tomorrow.